So, Lena, let me just tell you what we're going to do here. So I won't get into anything about record sales and awards and all that stuff. We're just going to talk shop, the kind of stuff that we want to talk about. You know, I might talk to you about you being too tall for country music and stuff, but I won't get into the gunshot wound stuff.
What kind of show is this?
That's all. I mean, that's all. It won't get too bad. Feel free to lie about it. That's okay.
Okay.
Oh, we're rolling. Welcome, I'm Clint Black, and tonight I am talking in circles with the man, Trace Adkins. Trace.
What an appropriate name for a show for us two to be talking. That's exactly what we'll do.
That's right. We'll keep bringing it back around
There
and
you
starting over. I just want you to know we tried to find a smaller version of that chair for the show.
Yeah, well,
but this was all we had.
Thanks for that. You know, I remember back when I was first getting started, you know, of course I had to learn that entire Clint Black catalog, you know, playing in clubs and stuff because, you know, I was very young and you had already been established for many, many years. And just want to say what a huge honor it is to be here now with you, old Mr. Black.
It's going to be old jokes from here on out. The whole dream of getting into this business, and man, if you make it big, whenever you go to work on an album, boy, they'll part the seas, they'll make room, they'll clear the decks, you'll be able to focus on that album. And I was recording on 4 days off from touring out in some town in California. I can't even remember the name. James Stroud had to come out there and grab me for vocals. It was a 4-day break and a heavy touring schedule that included all of the interviews and all of that stuff. And I can go back and hear it in the vocals.
I can
but
too.
It's just not the case. Success breeds chaos and pressure. And it's not just the pressure to do well, but it's the pressure to do everything all at once.
Yeah, I recall doing some vocals out west in L.A. just because it was the only way I could fit it into my schedule because we were already out there, and I went into a studio out there and did vocals on one album. I can't remember what it was, but it's the same kind of thing you were just talking about. You just kind of fit it in where you could, and I've said before, you know, that I thought career Trace killed off creative Trace, you know. Wasn't enough room for both of them to survive. So, yeah.
I always hoped that I could keep up my quality and keep improving. And I look around at great examples, you know, the country heroes, you know, Willie and Waylon and those guys and Haggard. And I look over at my classic rock icons, Paul McCartney, Eric Clapton. And I look also not just at those artists, but the guys in their bands. Mm-hmm. You know, you look around, there's 60, 65, 70-year-old guys that are just nailing it, you know. And I tell my daughter who's young, you know, you may start out with a band of guys who are really good, but those who stick with their instruments and don't let their chops rust up, you know, are going to be really amazing in 30 years, 40 years. I think I'm way better now. You know, a better singer, better guitarist, better at making records, way better than I was even 10 years ago.
I like, and maybe it's just because I'm not wanting to face the reality of it, but I like the sound of I go back now and I listen to that first album I did. To me, my voice sounds thin, and it kind of sounds thin and immature, you know. I like the sound of my voice better now.
I was wondering about that because, you know, that early stuff, you were almost up there in the tenor range on some of that. I mean, I'm listening to that, I'm going, man, we all love that bassy tone you've got. I mean, and what's the lowest note you hit?
I don't know, I could sing, I did a song the other day where I was, a low D, I think I was doing.
Low D, that's the vibration of the earth. That's it. Yes, you can help keep that going, perpetuate it. But it's not just the low note, it's the timbre of your voice. So I can hit some notes that are down there. I won't go that far, but I can get down to some of the stuff you do, but it's thinner. When you hit those notes, I mean, you hold the stuff down on the table here. Hang on, you know.
When I got a record deal at Capitol Records, Scott Hendricks, who was president there at the time, who signed me, said that he liked my speaking voice, and he said, you've got a deep voice, but it cuts. You know,
That's right.
It's got a
It's
cut
got an
to
edge.
it. And then early on, I went on my first radio tour, and I was in Buck's radio station out in Bakersfield, and he was there that day because it was raining. And I got to sit down and talk to him for a while, and he goes, Trace, he said, son, that bass note that you can hit, he said, you need to do that in every song because that's really all you got going for you. Swear to God, that's what he said. And he meant it too.
That's the kind of pick me up you want to hear.
He was honest though, wasn't it? He was great.
Let's talk about songs.
You know what? We should.
Let's talk
'Cause
songs.
that's what we do.
Songs are good.
Songs are great.
You can write songs. I know you can, but you really don't like it, right?
I never have really enjoyed the chore of actually writing it, you know, and I've done it a lot of times. You know, I've been fortunate to be a co-writer on some hit songs, and I enjoy the hook part of it. Kenny Beard told me one time, he said, you are the laziest good songwriter that I know. You know, I'm much better at the editing than sitting locked up in a room with somebody that I can barely tolerate and trying to write a song. So I don't have the patience for it, I've found. And over the years, I've fortunately gotten to know and become friends with some of the best songwriters in the world, because that's what we have here in this town.
Oh, thanks.
We got
I appreciate that.
some of the best songwriters in the world, and sometimes I'll come up with a hook or a melody or an idea, and I'll think to myself, okay, whose wheelhouse is that in? And then I'll just call them up and go, hey man, I had this idea, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of weeks later, I get a song. You know what I mean?
I was curious if you had hook ideas, or sometimes it's just, I just want to sing a song about beer. Do you really just deal in the hooks when you go at them with something?
Usually it'll be a hook in it, but I can't make my mind stop, and so it persists and thinks about other parts of the song.
And
I'll
hate
tell,
it.
I do, I hate it. It's like, stop. But I'll call them up and I'll say, okay, here's the hook. Here's the idea, you know, kind of the storyline or how I want the flow of the song to be and what I was thinking. And then we'll get together maybe and collaborate some. But I want them to do all the heavy lifting first before I get in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun music, and I enjoy watching you do it. You know, we were on tour together, and you can go run the gamut from something like honky tonk, badonkadonk to you're gonna miss this. So the badonkadonk thing is really clever, really fun, great production. You got the talking stuff, getting it going, setting it up, and all that. But then you're gonna miss this is just man, it really brings tears to your eyes.
The story about that song is so odd to me because I never intended for that to be a single or even really end up on a record. When I first got pitched that song, I happened to be looking for a song that I wanted to sing at the reception at my oldest daughter's wedding. And so I heard that song and I thought, there it is. That's a great song to sing at the reception of a wedding. And I could just see mothers crying and, you know, that's what I had envisioned. So I went in the studio and cut the songs just so I would have a track to sing to at her wedding. Then I did it. And then Mike Dungan, who was president of Capitol Records at the time, heard it and went, oh my God, we got to release that. And I went, whoa, that song is so sappy. Nobody will ever play that on the radio. He went, I don't think you're right. And I went, okay, go ahead. You know, you're making a huge mistake. So, you know, 2-week number one. So it's like, I don't know anything about this business. That's what I thought after that. But, you know.
Yeah. And I remember the reactions from the crowds. You know, 1 minute they're badonka-donking with you, and the next minute they're just, oh, you know, because it really is. I mean,
That song is, if my kids are at a show, they know you have to be out of my line of sight when I sing that song. I can't look at my, oh, stop.
So hold on a minute. So you're a feeling guy. I did not know that.
It's a closely held secret, you know, that I have feelings, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Right there with the nuclear codes. I don't want anybody to know that. She thinks we're just fishing. That's another one that I can't sing if I can see my kids. You know, I don't want them anywhere around. But stop selling Badonkadonk short. That is a profound song.
Yeah, we don't.
You don't
wanna
get the deeper meaning in that?
Is it we don't want to see her go, but we love to watch her leave?
That's profound. That's profound.
You didn't ask for all this, right? I mean, if you were playing the bars, my dream was I wanted to be on the radio. It wasn't to be famous and be a star. I didn't even like that word. You know, I wanted a crew because I was tired of carrying my gear around, you know, and changing my guitar strings for me. You know, that was a big one.
That's awesome.
Right, but I read somewhere where you said you didn't really want to be famous, and what was it you said? Who you have to blame for all this success or something?
Who do I have to blame? Oh, my
Yeah.
daddy. Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I've said that too many times. Bless his heart now. He's not here to defend himself. You know, he bought my first guitar for me when I was 10, and he didn't play guitar, he didn't sing. And nobody else in my family did, as a matter of fact. And one Christmas, got a guitar, and then guy started giving me lessons. And yeah, it's his fault. You know, all of this stuff that I've, you know, forced people to listen to over the years, it's all his fault, you know. And I never even got to have that conversation with him to press him and ask him why he did that.
Why
I
he
just,
thought that was your thing?
I just let it go. I never did ask him, you know, and he never offered the information either, you know, why he did it, you know, why he bought me the guitar and paid Ron Riley to give me guitar lessons, but it's his fault.
Well, you went ahead and made it big. I don't see you as chasing.
I didn't make it big, though, until they had the Chrome 300 NASCAR race out there at the Nashville Speedway. My face was on the hood of the car because that was the year that the Chrome album came out. And when I told him that there was a NASCAR event called the Chrome 300 and my face was on the thing, he goes, "You finally made it."
That's it.
That was it. That was it for him. I made it.
It's a long way from borrowed money and rodeo
Oh,
exchange.
yeah, man. Not a lot of people know about those places.
Yeah.
Boy, I got a couple of good beatings out there, you know.
I had the same stuff going on down in Houston. And when we were playing the bars, my first band with my brother Kevin, back then, people would send us drinks up, and we'd drink them. I would drink them, and we would have them stacked up. Can't give the band enough drinks. I don't know why they thought that was going to make their night better, but it was, they were sending them up, and we had a pile of them up on a stool once, and I was in the center position, and I played bass and sometimes sang lead. And my brother Kevin was all the way over to my right, and Kevin always had a little bit of an Elvis thing going. He's moving around up there, you know. And I'm up there singing a song on the center mic, and out of my periphery, I see my brother Kevin headed this way behind me at a pretty good pace at an angle of about like that. So he was going somewhere
going
without
down.
his feet quite under him, and he never got them under him. And he ran right into that stool with all those drinks, and a shower of whiskey and Coke just went all over the drums. And I remember thinking, we're going to be George Jones. And it was a wake-up call for me, and I never drank on stage again after that night. Maybe for the last song, if somebody sent something, maybe for the last one, but that was about it. And once I spent, a lifetime in those bars singing with no drinks, the wobble and waver of the audience became a lot more of apparent. You watched the whole process of the night begin, and you could always spot the trouble before it happened. You could see where the fight was going to begin. You could see it heating up out there. You talk about taking a lot of beatings. I'm sure it never came on the stage, right? Of course.
No, I don't remember it ever coming up on the stage, but yeah, it happened on breaks and after the show, and
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. And when I first got to this town, and I had somebody ask me, how do you think those years of playing in honky-tonks prepared you for this career? And I think the best thing that I could come up with was, I don't know that playing in those clubs all those years taught me what I needed to do to be successful in the music business, but it taught me everything that I was not supposed to do. I learned those lessons when nobody cared, way back when,
Made some mistakes.
These are all
got
the
over
things that you're not supposed to do if you're trying to be successful in this business. And I learned that early on, before I had a record deal to sacrifice. But you talking about all the drinks coming to the stage, I remember they used to bring them up, just bring a tray and sit it on the stage, and it'd be full of drinks, full of shots. And of course, we'd all do them. And on those nights, things might get out of hand. And the next morning, my tour manager would always wake me up the same way. He would open the door to my hotel room and set a jam box on the counter in there with a board tape of me singing at the end of the night after I'd had all those shots.
That's brutal.
I know,
on the best night, a board tape is brutal.
He was cruel. He was cruel. And he'd turn it up wide open,
That's
too.
terrible.
Me singing after about a dozen shots. It was horrific. I mean, it was bad. But that didn't break me from it. So.
Yeah, for any of you listening, what you hear in the audience is enhanced by the sound of the room and what's coming out of the speakers. And of course, you're drinking, but a board tape is dry, dead,
It's
nothing.
The cold, hard truth, isn't it? I'm telling you. Yeah, this is what you sound like after you've had too many drinks.
You and I toured together.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, we toured together and
had a blast.
Both wiser, a little bit older, and I got to watch you. We took turns who went last, and so when I went on before you, I got to, put on my sneakers and come hang out and watch you and watch the audience, which was fun. When you come out on stage, it is just, my word for it is Mr. Cool. Because here's Chase walking out on stage. Right? He's doing absolutely nothing, and it works, And then he walks down stage slowly, and then he stands there and looks around.
Hey, man, know what?
It's like, man, this is the...
I'm working smarter, not harder, see? That's right.
It's amazing the power of doing nothing.
The older you get, you learn how to do those little things.
Well, man, I really appreciate you being here. I was hoping you would like the idea of sitting with me and talking in circles. And
do you remember that first tour we did together in '98 when you were trying to get those stock car sounds on some album that you were doing, and you'd bring that car in there during the afternoon when I was trying to do sound check?
I was hoping you forgot about that. Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah,
I felt bad, but I needed those sounds.
I guess so.
Well,
I want to be successful enough to have that kind of power someday.
oh, that was Dale Jr.'s car.
Yeah,
Yep,
I remember.
yep.
You owe me an apology for that.
Well, I kind of thought since you agreed to do the show that you might have forgotten.
Oh, that was great, yeah. And that was the first time I got to be around Lisa very much, and it was
Yeah.
just a blast and very memorable. I'll never forget it, man. Thank you for taking me out on that tour. I
I was
appreciate it.
glad to have you there, man. That was great.
Thanks for having me here, too.
Yeah. I've got one more question before we go. When you get to heaven, if you could play a song with anyone who is already there, who would it be?
Ray Charles.
And what song would you sing?
Oh, my goodness. You know what? I'm not going to impose. I'm going to let Ray pick what he wants to do, but I said a long, long time ago, God, man, I so regret. I was within 15 feet of Ray Charles one night and was so in awe of him that I could not bring myself to enter his bubble and introduce him. I couldn't do it. I couldn't approach the man. I was just dumbstruck, and I so regretted that I never went over and shook his hand and had that opportunity, and I missed it.
Yeah.
So I want to sing with Ray Charles.
Sorry you missed that.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss this. This was
Oh,
fun.
that was good.
Man. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Clint.